This is going in the episode too. Gotta make sure the hair's okay.
Welcome to an edition of the November edition of the Walk-Ons. I'm your Spinnaker 2020 Hall of Fame class inductee, Drew Donald, former sports editor. But to my side, I have the current sports editor, the rising star, the NFL sports writer, John Watson. How you doing today, John?
Doing well. It's been a nice time in Jacksonville. We had a really chilly day yesterday. It was 60 degrees here, which is crazy for Jacksonville. But yeah, it's been really interesting, and sports haven't gone too well over here. But I don't know. It's just life. It's just life in general. How are you, Drew?
I'm good, man. In South Florida here, trying to enjoy this little cold front we're having over here. I know we have a local weatherman calling this the snuggle alert. So the snuggle alert in South Florida for this cold weather. But yeah, it's kind of what's going on here. Oh, yeah, we had a big guy from Hawaii playing for us yesterday named Tua Tagovailoa, who played okay. Defense kind of won that game for the Dolphins.
I mean, if it wasn't for his touchdown pass to Devontae Parker, it would have been a really disappointing day for Tua Tagovailoa. But his first game as the starter was like, all right, well, maybe he'll do something. But he really didn't put up the pass yards, but he won the game, so he's going to be the starter next week. What about you? What are you thinking about that?
Wasn't Aaron Donald strip sack?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was. I mean, Jared Goff, he's a really good quarterback, but like, just sometimes he folds.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on the game?
I watched a little bit because I watched the red zone because the Falcons were up or didn't play Sunday. But I thought that the Dolphins defense looks very, 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 very good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although Goff is bad, I think that Robert Woods has been really good for them this season. He can rush, he can also get passes. So the Rams aren't terrible, but they got tightened up some screws for next week.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Monday game. The Buccaneers and the Giants should have been an easy win for the Bucs. Was not an easy win for the Bucs. What happened? Did you watch the game at all? And what's your take on the performance?
There should be a rule, John, to never let NFC East teams play primetime.
Mm-hmm.
It's so boring. We saw what the Eagles and the Cowboys was it on Sunday. The Giants they're not fun to watch. They pass the time. They make some good plays, but Daniel Jones, he's not. I think is what the Giants hope he could be right now. I mean, Saquon's gone, so they lost that big impact in the offense. Their defense is not terrible, but I mean, how do you watch that game the full 3 hours, without going to the bathroom or watching The Office? Just I don't know. I didn't watch the whole game because I have a life. So I didn't watch that game because the Giants are terrible and made a bad game. But I did hear about the PI call, and that was a big thing I saw this morning. So without bias, John, what did you see from that PI call?
I didn't really see it being much of an issue, but as everyone would say, it was 2 points to decide the game. But I think that Antoine Winfield, he timed it really nicely to where that if it was questionable, it would have gone in his favor. And for them to throw the flag and then pick it up was kind of interesting, though, because it would have been easier. I think for the officials, it would have been easier to throw it and then replay it and then overturn it than if they wouldn't have thrown the flag anyway.
It's also helping the narrative that NFL and Tom Brady collusion, but it's just forget it, guys. The NFL aren't the best. The officials are probably, they're always suspects, so can't trust them all the games. But take it with a grain of salt. The Bucs are they tired or they have sole possession of the first lead in the South?
I think the Saints. I think the Saints had a bye week one of the weeks, so I think the Bucs are 6-2 and the Saints are 5-2.
Okay, so Bucs have that 1 game lead. So I mean,
yeah,
they're going to get better too. I mean, you're gonna have Antonio Brown next week, I think, right? So I don't know if they'll play next week, but I mean that's gonna be a crazy offense to deal with. But I don't know. I think that we could have had a better matchup last night, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting. Well, next week's game is the Saints and Bucks, so that's going to be a really great game,
Mhm.
hopefully. But I think it was really interesting that Daniel Jones, he didn't do well under pressure, and the Bucks are really good at creating that pocket pressure and making sure the pocket's really small for these guys. And with
Mhm.
Daniel Jones only being a second, third year guy, he was the two interceptions he gave up to one to Sean Murphy Bunting and the other to forget the other guy's name, but if you know it, just blurt it out. But the two interceptions, they were both, there was a hand on Daniel Jones as he was throwing the ball, and I think that was the key to the game was those two defensive stops, and also the you know Tom Brady not being able to drive down the field was an issue, but we'll see next going into next week against a Saints defense that is questionable.
It's very questionable. And the Saints, they barely pulled off one against the Bears in overtime. So
Well, the
um,
Bears are they they bring it every week, so they got Khalil Mack. They're okay. I like the
yeah,
Bears.
they got that kid from Arizona, Nick Foles, who was a Jacksonville
That's
Jaguars legend.
lame. I have his jersey actually, so I can't talk for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we'll talk about something that happened, I think, a week or two ago, the World Series, and right now there's a little bit of aftermath with Justin Turner and how he went on the field after testing positive for COVID and celebrated with the fans. I think he like kissed his wife on the field or kissed his girlfriend, and it's getting flack because he broke a lot of protocols. What's your reaction to that, and what do you think is the right course of action for him?
I'm glad you didn't bring up the Kevin Cash thing, John. I'm glad you didn't bring
Hmm.
up that horrible narrative that people
Yeah.
jump on like
Hmm.
bandwagon. But you can't get mad at a guy for kissing his wife.
Hmm.
It's kind of like it's their thing. But in terms of like around the team, that's kind of
Hmm.
where my
Yeah.
qualms. It's a COVID era,
Hmm.
and if you have COVID, you know you have COVID, and you're on the field with your buddies that you're hugging, you're high fiving, you could possibly be spreading COVID. You did win a title, but I mean you gotta find a way to celebrate but stay within 6 feet.
Hmm.
And they're probably popping bottles in the locker room, but I mean, actually no, they're not because they had a restriction on alcohol in the locker room, so they can do that. But you gotta find some way to celebrate, but make sure you're 6 feet apart. So that's kind of where I think it's irresponsible for Turner. Um, it's just tough because it's hard to plan around this whole COVID era. So um, I don't know. I think that is irresponsible, and hopefully, they get better at creating and enforcing better guidelines next year.
I definitely think it was a little interesting how he just like went onto the field without like really anyone trying to get him off the field.
Mhm.
And it was like he took pictures, he did everything with the team, and no one was like, "Hey, hey man, come on back," And there was nobody out there trying to like get him. That
Mhm.
I think that was the number one issue. But man, I don't know. It's like it's a special moment in your career when you win your first title,
Mhm.
but is it not? It's not safe to put your whole team in jeopardy because you just want to celebrate.
Yeah, because like, what if like one of your teammates has like a kid, like
Hmm.
newborn kid, and you're going to stay with your kid the next day, you have COVID. I
Hmm.
mean, that's gonna possibly give your wife or kid that same virus.
Yeah, yeah. I think that the problem is that was the last game of the season. They're going home after this, so
Didn't some like wives get like the cases too, like the next day on like a plane or a bus? I read.
I didn't read into it, but I could definitely see that happening. It's a little odd. What else going on in the sports world, Drew McDonald?
So we kind of leapfrogged over the
Hmm.
Jaguars, and the biggest folk hero in Jacksonville was Gardner Minshew, man. He basically played through the pain in terms of like a fractured ligament in his thumb,
Hmm.
and this isn't the first time he's done stuff like this. Like there's that old legend about him, uh, hanging himself with a hammer in college to get an extra red shirt for Washington State. So it's not good for the team because you can't really trust your quarterback doing that kind of stuff because you should tell your trainer first, hey, my thumbs are, let's deal with this instead of kind of keeping it to yourself. But out of the ashes comes a fresh draft prospect from Oregon State in Jake Luton. Folks, this guy could be the next Mark Brunell, the next Blaine Gabbert, the next David Garrard. Enter Jake Luton, part of the Luton clan. What do you think, John Watson?
You just compared this 6th-round draft pick to all the failed Jacksonville Jaguars quarterbacks in history, which is not a very good comparison. I'm very sorry.
Listen, Brunell is actually pretty decent.
Okay. But I think, you know, he had an interesting story. He started out at, Idaho or something like that. And then he transferred to a 2-year Ventura College or something, and put up 40 touchdowns, like 5 interceptions in 1 year, in a 2-year, like, JUCO kind of school. And then he transferred to Oregon State, I think, and then put up some decent numbers. And then I think he only had like 3 interceptions the whole year, which is really, really impressive. But he took starter reps in practice this week, so Gardner Minshew will not be playing. And I guess we'll see what happens with him, because he's just like this random guy the Jaguars picked up, and now he's the starting quarterback after they dumped the rocket scientist, I forget his name, if you know it.
Oh, Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs, rocket scientist, cool guy. But they dumped him, who I don't know why they did that, and they don't have Nick Foles anymore. So here you go. Good luck, buddy. Go impress like Tom Brady, and after what's his face got injured.
Listen, it's giving off a lot of Minshew vibes. Like this unknown guy from the draft is thrust into the position. It was unknown. Might be the next Mark Minshew, the next Tom Brady. We don't know. We'll see what Jake Luton does, but he's playing against Romeo Crennel's Texans, and they've been kind of suspect ever since they fired Bill O'Brien. So we shall see.
Their only win this year is against the greatest team of all time, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes.
See if they can go 2-0 against this. Let's see if the Texans can go 2-14, 2 wins being against the Jaguars.
Do you play the Jaguars like a app they have during the games?
No.
It's so depressing because basically when you're watching the game, this app lets you like predict the Jaguars do in the drive. You have 4 choices each time, like, hey, how many yards the Jags gonna get in this drive? Like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. You get the gist. Folks always bet the lowest amount of yards every drive.
That's probably gonna happen too. I'm sorry. And I think the last topic I want to cover in this episode is why Gardner Minshew is not doing too well this year. Is it because of expectations? Is it because he's just not up for the task, and the Minshew magic has died off? What do you think is it?
I don't think the team's on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
You saw John when you covered the Lions game. Chard didn't kind of he didn't say it, but he didn't kind of get along with Minshew in certain plays in that game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not on the same page, it's not good for the locker room and the team. And I think it's a matter of time, hopefully, that they make a change within the organization.
Do you think that's a Doug Marrone change or an actual GM change, or both even?
I think people have just other suspicions about Dave Caldwell, the GM. He had one good draft in 2017 when he got Miles Jack, Leonard Fournette, all those guys. I think it's time to change the whole front office. I mean, they let go Tom Coughlin last year, who was the EVP of the organization. It's time to to get a new face, a new clean slate.
I think the problem is that they can draft so many good guys like C.J. Henderson, Miles Jack, Leonard Fournette, Josh Allen. How do they fit in the system? It's really suspect right now whether these guys are the future or they're just gonna 2 years then adios, bye, And it's just what are they doing? And I think that might be a culture thing.
Who was the last guy the Jaguars picked in the first round to last more than 3 years with the team? That's my question.
I wouldn't want to know that one.
Because Ramsey was 2017, 18, 19, I think, roughly. Fournette was same 3 years, and then
Probably
Who
Blake
else?
Bortles. He lasted like 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
Blake Bortles, Blake Bortles, Blake Bortles. Say that 3 times fast.
He should be the next Cowboys quarterback. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Because Ben DiNucci is not doing his part.
Benvenucci. Mamma mia, Benvenucci. Insert Tyler Prom's Benvenucci dun 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 thing right here. There you go. There's your plug, Tyler. As for plugs, what you doing in your life, True McDonald? Palm Beach Post sports writer, what's up?
I'm covering South Florida high school sports, one of the top three counties in the state in terms of high school talent. Guys like Lamar Jackson came from Palm Beach County. Devin Hester, Fred Taylor, former Jaguar. Doing that, watching some sports, and to make sure I'm following John Watson's Spinnaker articles on UNEP, Spinnaker.com.
Go check this guy out. He actually writes in like newspapers. I don't know if I'm pointing to the right side, but he actually points to newspapers. Like it's really cool.
But the real
But yeah,
person, when you catch it.
yep. For Spinnaker News, I'm John Watson. For the other people over there, we got Drew McDonald. See y'all next time, and peace out.
Working for you.
Working for you.